Alright, good morning guys. Mark with Red Star Loft with you again. Hope you're having a good day. We got a little bit of snow, but it's not too bad. It's around 30 right now. We're getting a little bit higher, but it's not windy, so it's nice and reasonably warm. You can probably hear the squeaking, not just of the door, but also the young. They were just fed, so they should be feeding the young over the next little while. But today my main focus is going to be on this here section and preparing it for weaning of my young birds. And if you guys stick through to the end of the video, there's a surprise at the end, so hold out for that. But we're gonna be focusing basically just on this section. I'll build a little piece of plywood with some 2x2s on top of it and hay here in this corner, just so that they can, you know, they have a place to they like to kind of get together in a corner. So I just want to make it nice and comfortable so that they're not on these, and I'm gonna give them a simpler feeder that's more open and easier to look through, and I'll give them apple cider vinegar in the water, and I'll put all of that here so they don't have to climb, obviously. So, and that's what I'll be doing over the next little bit. But just to give you a quick recap or a quick refresher, as you guys can probably see, I've put in a fair amount of secondary nest balls, and yeah, that cock is laying in there calling the hen now, only because, as you can see down there, I put that board. She nested down there in that corner where there was that gap. So I had to put that board there. So now he's actually started calling her into the nest bowl, and they gave up that spot. But just for an example, let me show you. This pair has a nest bowl, the second one, and they laid their eggs in the first one with the young. This pair did the exact same thing, and the only ones that really seem to be using that second nest bowl are these guys, and now I see them using it. But whatever they decide to do, everybody else just overall nothing really new or major. Let me pull a few of these young birds out real quick. I love the look of this guy. He is my favorite bird, no question about it. But just to give you a refresher of some of these birds that you guys seem to like, as well as I. Their crops are always empty in the morning, even though they always have food and lights. And yeah, that's basically those pellets. They always seem to be runny when they get fed on the pellets. So I actually decided to kind of cut back on pellets and more so give them less pellets. Even though they're a secondary feed, give them less pellets and give them more grain. But yeah, it doesn't matter how much food they have in here. Their crops are fairly empty in the morning until they actually feed them, even though the lights have been on for a couple of hours already. So it's just how it is. I don't mind it. They all seem to be growing and progressing fairly nicely. So let's take a peek at these. Their crops seem to be fuller. So let's get you out. She will definitely be my most interesting young bird. Let's get you back. But anyway, don't want to get, almost broke that. Don't want to get hung up on them too much. More or less the same. I do have a couple new eggs, like I said. They are on eggs down here, and they are on eggs. So expecting an egg from them any day now. And as well as these two. So it's coming along. It's coming along nicely. But to move on here. So yeah, bear with me. I'll put you guys on pause, and I'm gonna get that done, and I'll be back with you just to show you what it looks like. Okay, so pardon the mess. It's always like that in here. But this is simply what I was talking about. I wish I had some thinner plywood. This is pretty thick, but that's essentially what I was talking about. I put those on there just to try to keep the hay there, or the straw, whatever you want to call it. I'll show it to you. To keep it in there for the most part, so it's not flopping all over the place and making a mess. But yeah, I've just cut that out roughly to the same dimension as that little section that I was showing you. And I will be going to pop this in there, and yeah, hopefully the birds are gonna like it and actually use it, because it'll definitely be warmer than the rest of the metal loft. So I'm gonna go and pop that in there and get some hay, and I'll be back with you guys. And there it is. Nice and simple. Fits right in there. I was gonna cut it in there and slide it in more, but that was too much work and tight cornering to maneuver around that, so I just decided I'll put a little bit more hay in there and call it a day. So that's where I'm going to be keeping that. This is what I'm going to use as their bedding. Found it at Tractor Supply, and I'm fairly confident that this is good and doesn't have any of those little bugs and whatever stuff in it. Mainly because this is food for, you know, you can see gerbils, chinchillas, rabbits, and whatever that is, gopher, squirrel. So since it's animal food grade, basically, I'm guessing that it's going to be perfectly fine. It's just, yeah, very, very dried and soft grass or hay, whatever you want to call it. So I'm gonna set my phone there real quick and just throw some in there. Starting with these corners, get them nice and nice and soft so that they don't notice that ridge. And yeah, I'll just continue doing this until I've covered the whole thing. So we'll see. Hopefully this doesn't end up being a mistake, but it's just dried grass, so we'll see how much of a mess it ends up making. But at the very least, it should at least absorb all their dropping, especially when they congregate in one corner and just keep pooping there. So bear with me as I wrap it up. And there we go, the final weaning product. Should be nice and soft and keep them warmer and absorb the droppings better and keep them in one place. So I'm happy with the look of it, so hopefully they're gonna find it useful when the weaning time comes. Like I said, gotta switch out the feeders and take care of the water, but other than that, that's mostly it. I also gotta take a lot of this crap out and move it somewhere else, but we'll get to that when we get to that. But yeah, video's not over yet. Stay tuned, guys. Like I said, I do have a surprise, so that's gonna be coming up shortly. So again, hang in there. All right, here we go. As I promised you guys, bear with me till the end of this. And I've got a surprise. And here it is. You want to talk about colors? Check a few of those out. Let's get them out of the car and into the loft. And I'll tell you a little bit more about where they come from, though I'm sure most of you that have been watching for a little while are aware of where they come from. But these are the young that the breeders that I used to have here. The breeders that I used to have here in my loft. And a few of them that I really liked and that my dad really liked, that we just could not get rid of. I moved over to him. And yeah, he's had them over there, as you guys know. And these are the young from those birds that used to be in this loft. And it's time to wean them here. And they're actually overdue for weaning. They should have been weaned days ago. But yeah, we weren't quite able to wean them just yet. We should have weaned them days ago, like I said. But yeah, here we are now, so I'll tell you a little bit about them. You guys might remember. If you've been watching for a little while, you might remember the pairs that I'm talking about. This one, for an example. If you guys remember my the red cock and the white hen, they gave me a lot of these, kind of mostly white with splashes of black. That's from them. They only had one. The other egg froze, so they only had one, and that's him. Like I said, these birds are a little bit, you know, they're big. They can kind of fly around, so weaning shouldn't be too hard in terms of them feeding and whatnot. So by the time my birds need to be weaned, these guys should have the handle on, you know, how to eat and how to drink, because they've already done it over there. So just a matter of getting them settled in. This one is from the black cockbird and yellow hen, if you guys remember them. They were also here. They gave me a few birds that were fairly decent. So that's the young from that black cockbird and from the young hen. And just to make it clear, guys, I'm not expecting a lot out of these. These are just kind of birds that, you know, whose parents we like. They look nice. They, you know, they're not the best flyers, but they're gonna go through the same, you know, training, through the same process, same everything that that, you know, my other birds go through. And, you know, if some turn out to be good, that's great. If not, not a big deal. But these are just some, you know, I'm not expecting much if anything from these guys, but still give them a chance. Let them fly around, let them go on tosses and things of that nature. So this is the sibling to that one, and the one that I didn't think I was gonna get. This one is yellow, as you can see, and he's yellow like his mother. And his mother bred 4 rounds here, 8 young, none of them were yellow. And the first one that goes over there comes out yellow, so he's the sibling to that red one that you see right there. They're nest mates, so that's them. And then if you guys remember my saddles, my red and white saddles, this is one of them. These are the oldest ones. That's one of them. And this is the other one. And the funny thing is, both parents look exactly like that. And he came out like that. And this one came out more so yellow than red. So, like I said, these guys can fly around fairly decently. So they should be able to pick through that food. As you can see, I gave him the other feeder that's more open and, you know, less intimidating, I guess you can say. But I gave him the more open feeder. I put the water down here to have apple cider vinegar in there. And this is just a secondary water that has no top. If they're not comfortable sticking their heads in there just yet, they have this. I'm sure they're gonna make a mess out of that, but it is what it is. So there they are. Like I said, these are just, you know, good looking birds that are definitely gonna be settled here, and they're gonna loft fly here, and they're gonna go in tosses, but I'm not expecting any grand results from them. They're just birds that we liked from last year that we couldn't get ourselves to get rid of just yet, so here they are. They're yeah, that's about all I gotta say. Thanks for bearing with me. I know this video is running a little long, but there they are. Throwing some color variants in there, that's for sure. So thank you guys for watching. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll be back with you in the next few days. Have a good one.